¿Qué onda, vatos? Thanks for tuning in to yet another video. Infamous here. I'm going to be re-uploading a old video. This is where I'm changing the risers, and if you're looking at doing this on your 2021 or 2020 lowrider S, if you go over 5 inches in rise, you will have to change your cables. You can't get by it. This is what you got to do. So I went ahead and I removed the dash, as you can see, and then you would have to remove that that pump sensor or ignition or electrical connector, the pump. You would have to remove that. That's a close-up. It's on the frame, it's not underneath the tank, so just look out for it. And you also have a few other connections there, but gonna go ahead and cycle the bike. All right, so once you give it a couple pumps, remove your tank. It'd be easier if you have this kind of low, the fuel. You don't have a full tank, it's a lot easier to remove. And then these are the other 2 connections that you have to remove other than the fuel line. So this is where you get into your cables. Remove that. There's a little lip right there, as you can see, that doesn't have the full sitting or whatever you call it on the rubber feel. And then of course you have to go ahead and drain out your brake fluid. Try to get most of it out. I went ahead and I used the syringe, as you can see down over there. Pull that out. Get as much as you can before you disconnect the brake line, because you don't want that stuff on your paint. It's super corrosive and it's bad for the paint. It's gonna damage it. You're gonna cause some damage. And go ahead and just disassemble the parts. I went ahead and just kind of blew right through this video, because I mean it should be pretty easy. You just remove the bolts, nothing too special, nothing too technical, and then you would just insert the bushings. If you got a Kraus, then they provide you with the bushings. If you got something else, you'll probably have to buy the bushing separately. Just a heads up, just look out for that. And then here's a couple more tips. JAE connectors for your turn signal, you just want to just make sure you mark one of them. That way you don't get your left and your right mixed up. So I went ahead and I used a Sharpie and I marked one of the connectors, and that I believe was my left turn signal. And that's pretty much it. All these connectors, you can't really put them in the wrong connector. It's just not possible. Each connector has their own, except for the turn signals. They do appear to be the same. So just make a mark. Don't get them twisted, because then you'll have to get back in there and then fix it. Unless you want to keep it that way, you left to your right or right to your left. And then this is where I noticed where the napkin was already filled up with the brake fluid. And just to avoid getting that on the paint, I went ahead and I replaced it. So just keep an eye out. This thing's going to keep on dripping. It's going to keep on leaking. So just kind of do what I did right there. Put a couple of napkins and then with the rubber band. And if you see it soaked, replace it. So then this is just what I did. This is the stock bars on my lowrider S. You don't have to. See, I'm reminding you guys again. Make sure you clean up your brake fluid. Sit on the bike. I actually grabbed my seat and I just put it back on the bike. And this is where I tell people not to worry about being able to reach it or anything. You could adjust these as you need them. You can move them up forward or you can move them back, and then you could actually tilt all the controls. Just tilt them, everything. The hand controls, everything's adjustable, and then like I said, this is the stock bars. Yeah, you have about 3.5 inches of being able to adjust them because of the height of the bars. So don't worry about them being too tall or anything like that. You just have to adjust them, and then make sure, I'm saying it right here, make sure that the bars are even. I was able to see it by eye that the bars are off a little bit to the right. So just before you tighten anything down, make sure the bars are straight, and make sure that you feel comfortable with the overall feel. And then of course proceed to tighten everything down. And this is where I got it. This is where I started getting into the brake fluid. I got this Mighty Vac reverse. It's a reverse bleeding brake bleed. It's a reverse brake bleed. You push it through the calipers up towards the master cylinder. And before you start bleeding the brakes, reverse bleeding the brakes, make sure you put some brake fluid inside your master cylinder because it's gonna shoot out. And yeah, I actually did that. So just make sure you put some fluid in there, and then, you know, just start bleeding the brakes. And this is what I did right here. I started taking some of the fluid out. I actually did it about 2 times. You could, you know, do it once. You could do, you know, you could even do it maybe even 3 times. Just do it as much as you believe you need. So as you can see, I have 2 syringes. That one I was using to take the fluid out, and then the other one I was using to push the fluid in from the brake calipers. And I just, like I said, I repeated this 2 times. And if you don't feel comfortable with this, take it to the dealership. You know, I already have maybe about 3,000 miles on the bike. I haven't had any issues. And then, as you can see there, I went ahead and, you know, just got some air out of it, kind of like a syringe, kind of like the doctor does. And then, you know, as you can see, I'm now getting ready to pump the fluid back in and, you know, have it in there. And then, as you can see, here's another tip: tilt the syringe upside down so you could get all that air towards the top, and then just keep on pushing through. As you can see, there's a couple bubbles coming out because that's from the line, and this is what it looks from the top. You just keep on going. My girl was helping me out. If you need some help, get somebody to help you out. That way they could look and see, and you don't accidentally overflow the fluid. Because the thing is, if you keep on like setting the syringe down, I guess you could hang it off the bike. That way you could get back up and look to see how it's going or anything like that. And then, of course, use the brake fluid cleaner, clean up the mess, because you're not going to be able to prevent every single little drop. So here we are changing the clutch line. I had to remove the collector, the white collector, to get to these bolts. And even though I was able to use the Allen and that tool to kind of get some leverage on there, I had to remove the muffler a little bit just so I could have enough room to get in there. So there's the retainer ring for the clutch. You will have to get this tool. A lot of the tools for the bike and everything, you don't need specialty tools, but you are going to need a few snap ring pliers. That's for sure. And this is probably where you start to get a little bit more difficult with the installation. But I have all these videos and their full entirety of the length. They're my old videos. They're not too entertaining. They get a little stale from time to time. So this is just me trying to re-upload it and probably provide some tips after the installation. And if you guys have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and leave your questions down in the comments. So this is the new clutch line that Speed Kings provided me with. This is the kit that they sell. I got this for $200 when they first came out. Recently I looked at their website and it's now up to $300. This is the same kit, and this is the old school clutch line cable. It's not like the new one. And be sure you pick up a new gasket, the clutch case gasket. Get that from your dealership. It's about maybe $5 if I remember right. And take your time. Take your time. You do not want to cross thread anything. All right, you just take your time. They also provide you with the O-ring for your cable line, your clutch cable. So just take your time. Don't rush through any of this. You do not want to cross thread any of these threads, because it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck pretty bad if you do that. And here you see, here's another tip: when you're installing the clutch line back, or the retaining ring, whatever you call it, when you're installing it back, make sure that you have that clutch line pushed all the way to the back. As you can see right here, I'm pointing this out, and then I'm going to give you guys another angle. And you just want to make sure, before you put anything back, you want to make sure that this cable line is seated all the way towards the back. All right, and then of course, install your cover back on. Go ahead and do the clockwise tightening thing. Just take your time, seat it properly, and then this is where I start putting the fluid back in there, the one that I drained out. And that's pretty much it. That's the end of the video. This is just me riding around town here in San Jose, and If you guys have any questions, if you guys were wondering about, you know, anything, you could leave your comments down below. And if you want to, you know, look at those videos, I have a whole playlist on the channel. It's about 6-7 videos. I have the parts. I have the parts. I also have a video on the tools that you might need. And like I said, those videos, they're broken up to, they're in parts of, you know, the clutch installation, the clutch adjustment, the brake flush. That also, it's also there. But you know what, just keep in mind that I'm not a certified, or I'm not a mechanic or a professional or anything like that. This is just me trying to save some money. They were trying to, you know, quote me $1,400, just labor, $1,400 for the handlebar job. So, you know, that's a lot of money. And, you know, I did this. It took me maybe about 8 hours, give or take, you know, somewhere around there. And this is just me doing it. As you can see, I don't have a garage. I don't have a fancy garage or anything like that. I don't have any fancy tools. So you guys can do this. If I can do it, you guys can do it too. And like I said, if you have concerns over the brakes, because it's ABS, yes, it's a little scary. But like I said, I already have over 3,000 miles with the risers. I haven't had any issues at all. But if you have any concerns, you know, take it to the dealership, take it to a shop, have them bleed your brakes if you're super concerned. Bike and Bird, he actually installed his line. He rode his bike to the dealership, and then they actually did the brakes for him. So you guys just, you know, stay out there, stay safe. Thanks for tuning in to yet another video. You guys, please, if you guys can, just like the video. I'll help out the channel. You guys just stay out there, stay safe. Don't believe everything you read. Life's a risk. Get out there and ride. Later.